besties, today I want to share about one of the biggest miracles that has ever happened in my life. God paid for my rent for a whole year and cleared all my debts. At that time, I didn't have a job. I had quit my job and I was really stressed, but God made a way. I know this channel is all about women leveling up, but as we work on ourselves, as we work to heal our traumas and become better women, it is also very important to put God at the center of it all. Let God be our anchor, because if you trust God, He will never let you down. And as feminine women, it is important to love God, to work on our spirituality, to work on our mindsets, and everything that we need to improve our lives and to become better women. It is in the Bible. The Bible is one of the greatest books that you can remove your inspiration and guidance from. Onto the story. From a very young age, I've always been that girl with headaches. I've always dealt with headaches. I don't know why. And one of my earliest memories is me having a headache after a school trip. A few years ago, I found myself in a job that I didn't necessarily like, but it was paying me well and it was catering for all my needs, but I did not like it. And the job was very mind involving. This job made my headaches worse. They became more frequent and they were so intense. But I had to keep pushing, or so I thought. I could not fathom the idea of just quitting my job because I wondered who would cater for my responsibility, how would I pay my bills, how would I survive in this Nairobi. My idea was I look for another job. So I kept at this job, but this job was so involving that I did not even have time to apply for other jobs. As I kept pushing, my headaches became even worse, such that I would have headaches 5 days in a week. And it got to a point where I had headaches every day. And I would take painkillers and they would not even relieve the pain. At some point, I started to take painkillers in the morning and in the evening. And I became worried, and I shared with my mom, and my mom was also starting to get worried. And I remember she told me that now we need to go to a hospital. Because the job involved me staying in a computer the whole time I was working, we thought at some point maybe it was because of the eyes, the blue light thing and all that. We decided I should first go see an optician. Went to an optician, all the tests were done and everything, and my eyesight was okay, nothing was affecting me. The doctor prescribed glasses for the blue light and some drops. I don't know what the drops were for. I think some vitamins or just some drops, but I didn't have any problem. I was fully okay. And I came back and I started using the glasses, using the drops, but the headaches were still there. After a few weeks of trying the glasses and the eye drops and it wasn't working, we decided that we needed to go to the hospital. I had previously gone to a hospital, but I had not done an extensive examination. So we decided with my mom that this time we would go to the hospital and we would demand to have an extensive examination, like a detailed one, everything to be checked. Went to the hospital and my sugars were checked, my blood was checked, and everything was okay. The doctor recommended that I go get an MRI, so they would check if it was a tumor or anything of the sort. And I went, got an MRI, everything was okay. Came back to the doctor with the results, and guess what the doctor gave me? The doctor gave me epileptic and migraines medication for a whole month, that I should take those medications every day for a whole month without skipping. And even if I have a headache, I should not take the other painkillers that I was used to. At first, I didn't know that the drugs were epileptic medication. I came home and I love researching. I started researching on the drugs just to realize that they were epileptic drugs, and because I had two medications, one for epilepsy and the other was for migraines. And I was shocked. And what really shocked me is the drugs were working. The doctor recommended that after the drugs were over, I should go and see a neurologist. And I was really worried, and I was starting to ask my mom, am I epileptic? What is wrong? What is wrong? And at that point, my mom told me that, no job is worth your health. You are worth more than even that job. And I sat down, I contemplated, I looked at my savings. After doing all calculations, my monthly expenses and the savings that I had, I realized that for about 6 to 8 months, I would be okay. I told myself, I will quit this job, and by the time the 6 to 8 months are over, I'm sure I would have found something. And so I quit my job. I stopped taking the medication, and guess what? the headaches were gone. And I realized that maybe the job was causing a lot of stress, because for me, headaches are the way my body communicates. If I'm hungry, I have a headache. If I'm mad, I have a headache. If I'm sleepy, I have a headache. I feel like that's how my body communicates. If something is not well with me, I always have a headache. If I'm sick anywhere else, a headache is always there. Now I was free, I had a lot of free time, I was just in my house, just applying for jobs and just having a good time, relaxing, not stressing about anything. But I was not getting interviews, and the months and the days were going like crazy, and I was starting to get worried. Before the 6 months were over, we had a family medical emergency, and I could not just stay with the money and say I'll not chip in because this is my saving, this is what I'll be feeding on, this is what I'm depending on. I had to chip in, and once I chipped in, I became broke, really broke. And after like 2 months, I hit rock bottom. I didn't have any money. My rent was due. I didn't know what to do. I started taking loans from friends and from the apps. I took a lot of loans, and I was sustaining myself with the loans. Like I was paying my rent and eating food with the loans. And I came to a point where I ran out of options. I didn't have anywhere I could take loans from. I didn't have friends that I could ask for money. And I had to figure something out. And at this point, I was so sad. I was so bitter. I was so bitter with God. I was like, why would you do this to me? Why would you give me a job that is so involving, that is so stressful, and then give me headaches? Like, you could have taken away the headaches instead of the job. I was really bitter. And if you have ever been bitter, you know how bitterness is a very strong feeling. It's such a consuming feeling. Like, it consumes your energy. It's just overwhelming. And I was really, really overwhelmed. And I was talking to God, and I was really bitter with God. In hindsight now, I realized that I was not praying. I was complaining. I was questioning God. I was asking him, why this, why that, why this? I remember I had gone to a church service, and they were talking about surrendering. And that sermon that day, I felt like that man of God was sent to speak to me, because he was just throwing bombs at me. And I really went home thinking a lot. And at that point, I was at rock bottom. I didn't have anything to lose. And I thought to myself, I really need to work on my spirituality. And I started working on it. I started seeing Esther fast everywhere. I was seeing the Esther fast. And I said, because I have a lot of bitterness that is overwhelming me, I think fasting can really help me. And I got into a 3-day fasting. At that point, I had a lot of debts. My rent was due. Actually, it was overdue. And I was just rock bottom. Like, I had just said, whatever happens, happens. I went into a fast. And I was really praying the scripture during that fast. And I was telling God, in the book of Jeremiah 29:11, you say that you know the plans that you have for me, plans to prosper me and not to destroy me. I was praying Matthew 7:7. I was telling God, Father, you say in the book of Matthew 7:7, ask and it shall be given, seek and you shall find, knock and the door will be opened. Father, I ask you to provide a way for me. Father, I ask you to provide for me. Father, do not allow me to lack. Father, you promise to provide beyond what I can imagine or think. Provide for me. Father, provide for me. By the time I was breaking the fast, I had come across one of my favorite verses to date, Exodus 14:14. And that Bible verse says, stand still and the Lord will fight for you. And each morning I would wake up, and the first thing that I would say is, God, here I am. I'm at rock bottom. I don't know what to do. I'm standing still. Do what you want with me. And I will praise you while I'm waiting. Show me how good it gets. And I would say this every morning. During all this time, someone had DM'd me online, and they had said hi. I had visited for a vacation Malaysia previously. They had talked about that trip. They had told me, oh, I saw you went to Malaysia. I've also been to Malaysia. What did you like about Kuala Lumpur? And I had just seen it, but at that point I was very bitter. If it was not something about money, or I was not interested, I was not replying to DMs, so I just ignored it. But while I was fasting, this DM kept reoccurring in my mind. I don't know why, and I can't explain it. And it's not that I was thinking about it, but it kept reoccurring in my mind. And after the fast and after a few days, I just said, you know what, I'll go back and look at that DM again and look at that profile. And I opened the profile, and I knew why I had not replied. The profile looked a bit fake. It didn't have a lot of posts. It didn't have a lot of pictures or anything. I just thought, this is just someone else trying to get in my pants, and they're just using the Malaysia thing as an excuse. I ignored it again, and a week goes by, and this thing keeps coming to my mind. I eventually opened the app and I replied it. I just said hi. And we started talking with this guy, and I thought he would start hitting on me, but he did not. It was just a very friendly, good conversation. And I love research and I love science. He was also talking about science, and we went into that route of science, and he was telling me about a seminar that had happened about this guy who was trying to make people live longer, and it was interesting. We chatted and we talked about it, and remember, I had a lot of free time, so we were chatting a lot. And at some point he asked me for my number, and I thought, why not? I just gave him my number. He started asking me, oh, you're a very intelligent woman, what do you do? Actually, he said, girl, you're a very intelligent girl. I was still young. That was some years ago, I think 4 or 5 years ago. And he was telling me, you are a beautiful girl, what do you do, what have you studied? And I just told him what I had studied, and I told him I had a job. At this point, we had a friendship. I had a job, and you know what happened, blah, 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 blah. And he told me it's okay. He also believed in God. He started encouraging me, sending me sermons on YouTube and everything. And one day I was just in my house, and the previous day my caretaker had come and had asked me, what's happening? I've never seen you late with rent. And I told him, oh, I was expecting a payment for a project that I had done. This was lying. And I asked God to forgive me for that, but I had to lie. I didn't have any other option. I'm waiting for the payment. Their payments delay. PayPal is withholding my money and blah, 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 blah. He bought into the story because I had stayed there for a while, like a year or so, and I had never been late even a day for my rent. I actually paid my rent early, so I think they were a bit lenient with me. And the next day I was just minding my business, and out of nowhere, this guy sends me money. And he had sent me, I think, 40,000. And 40 or 50,000, I can't remember clearly. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. I was so happy. I was so excited. At that point, 50,000 or the 40,000 was like 4 million to me. Like, I was so happy. I was so excited. And at first, I didn't know who had sent it because I didn't know his like official names. I knew his first name, so I had an idea it was him, but I wasn't sure, and I didn't know why he had sent the money. And I went online and I asked him what was that for, and he told me he just felt in his heart that I needed help, and something just pushed him, and he's tried to ignore it, but something was pushing him to just help me. And I was like, I know now he'll start hitting on me, so but I'll just use the money because I have no option. Mind you, I don't think I've said this. He wasn't in the country, he was abroad. So I just took the money, I went, I paid my rent and bought a few stuffs here and there, and continued with my life. And I felt so encouraged. At that point I felt like God had just answered my prayer because I had really, really prayed. I had really cried to God. I was at a point where I was like, I'm going back to my mom's house. I will sell everything and go back to my mom's house. But that happened, and I was like, God, thank you. And I continued applying for jobs, and I would apply for jobs, and I would apply for jobs, and nothing was happening, guys. And this guy consistently sent me money each month. I didn't know the guy. I had never met the guy. He was not hitting on me. And he just told me he wanted to help me. And I think since I was a young girl, I had never experienced a man helping me apart from my family without strings attached. Like I was feeling like there must be something behind it until we got to like the fourth, fifth month. But even then, at the back of my mind, I still was expecting something from him, like him to ask me for something, but he never did. I knew that was God. And I was so happy. I started praying, asking God, God, if you're using this man to provide for me, let him provide for me until the day that you provide another source of income. And that is exactly what happened. That guy provided for me. Each month he was sending me money. A guy that I had never met, that I didn't know about, that came from nowhere. I can't explain it. We had no mutual friends. Guys, it was unexplainable. This is a miracle. I don't care what anyone says. This is a miracle. And he did that until I got an income and I was stable. And then, this is the most now surprising part. He disappeared. I have tried to find that guy. I know his 3 names. I have tried to find that guy. I have never found him. I have seen people with those names online. I add them as my friend or follow them and I DM them. Like the vibe that I get from them, I realize they don't know me and I don't go ahead to share the story because I realize I'll freak them out. So I have never known that guy to date. I have never found him again. He just disappeared. I don't know if something happened to him. I really hope nothing happened to him. And this might sound crazy, but at some point, I really, really believe that he was an angel. Or what do you guys think? Please tell me what you think, because I really don't know how to explain it. And I thought I'd do this video just to encourage someone. If you're going through a hard time right now, I just want to tell you to surrender to God. Just go to God and tell God, these are my finances. God, I have tried everything and I know my plan is not perfect. Your plan is what I want for my life. Let your will happen in my life. And guys, pray the scriptures. And it is written in, I think it's Mark 11:23. If you pray and believe, your prayers are answered. So pray believing. Tell God, this is my career. I will never worry about it again. Do your will. He's God. He's the creator of everything. You cannot know God and lack anything. You can never lack anything. Tell God, do your will. I am at rock bottom. I don't have any other plan. You are my plan A, my plan B to plan Z. I don't have any other plan. And God will do it. Trust Him. Because I have seen Him do it for me. And if He did it for me, guys, He can do it for you. He can and He will. So besties, as we level up, as we work on our mindsets, as we work on healing our traumas and becoming better women, let's not forget God. Let's not forget our spirituality. Ask Him to give you peace. He says in the Bible that He will give you peace that is beyond human understanding. That is the peace that I had. Can you imagine a whole year, no income, but all your bills, all your responsibilities, all your debts are taken care of? Isn't that a miracle? And I'm not special. I'm not even the most prayerful or the most spiritual person. I'm just a sinner. So there's nothing special about me. So if He can do it for me, guys, He can do it for you. I hope this video has encouraged you as we start our 2024. Keep praying, keep pushing, keep working towards your goal, keep asking God to show you the way. And this is the prayer that I will leave you guys with. Tell God, Father, it is written in Exodus 14:14 that I should stand still and that you will fight for me. Father, if at this point in my life you want me to stand still and for you to fight for me, Father, give me a sign. Let me stand still. If there's something that you want me to do, Give me a sign, and do not let the sign be so clear that I will not miss it on what to do. If there's any talent that you want me to make use of, please show me which talent it is. Make it so clear that I will not miss it. I hope you stay prayed up and you stay blessed. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Stay blessed, guys. Bye.